some kind of interaction with a faculty member or a police officer at the school, and that gets back to campus reform, and campus reform turns it into a story. And it's kind of cool because Fox News actually looks at campus reform as like this perfect, like it's all truth when it comes out of them, because they fact check everything. So if they put some kind of story out, they've gone through, they've fact checked it, and Fox News oftentimes picks it up, and that's where it like gets the virality, it gets a lot of attention, and a lot of things get changed on college campuses. So it's a pretty cool thing. So send any tips, you send videos, just any information you have to show any kind of bias would be super helpful.
If you have any concerns about your privacy and you don't want your face out there in the public, tell them that. They'll work with you. They're not just going to put you out to the wolves and not help you. If anything happens to you, or if anything happens to your reputation as a result of this, they'll have lawyers and all sorts of attorneys that will defend you in your representation.
Yep. And I actually don't work for Campus Reform. I work for the Leadership Institute, and they're sister companies, they're sister organizations. And basically, there are people that work for both, and they're in the same building too. So if something gets to Campus Reform, Leadership Institute is usually involved as well. So
do they need for high school?
I'm sure if you write something up for high school, they'll take care of it, but it's the focus is universities.
They're kind of laser focused on the colleges, but there's definitely stuff above college and below college that I'm sure that they pick up. So.
You want to tell them about the other organizations starting stuff up?
Yeah, so I don't know how much Rick has already said before I walked in. I actually didn't even know I was presenting, so I apologize for being a little unprepared. But the Leadership Institute, it's a group that I got associated with through Turning Point, actually. There was a representative from Leadership Institute that came to me and said, hey, you should sign up for this leadership course that we do. It's called YLS. And I did it, and I loved it. And they ended up flying me out to DC, and Rick actually came too, but he got another sweet job that he'll probably tell you guys about. So the two of us were in DC for 2 weeks being trained on basically how to be a representative for the Leadership Institute. And I thought it was really cool because they don't take any of the credit themselves. They're there just to kind of be the guardian angel for all the other conservative groups out there. So whether it's just some group of kids that are pro-gun, that want to start their own club on campus that has no national recognition, or whether it's YAL or the Federalist Society or Turning Point, we're here to give resources to those clubs and organizations that uphold conservative values. And we are a nonpartisan organization. We're a 501c3, so we don't endorse any candidates at all, but we definitely stand for conservative principles, and we want to help make the clubs on campuses stronger, healthier, more people coming to them, and get the university administrations off their backs. In addition to that, we also have grants that we award. We have speakers that we have that can come out and speak to different conservative groups. And that's essentially what I do. I'm just here to kind of help you guys out. So
one of the things that really stuck with me was like, they're not looking to create an empire. This is not about promoting yourself or a small institution or a large institution. It's about creating a movement. You guys are all here. You're already the top 1% of conservatives in general because you're not armchair politicians. You're here. You're actually putting time out of your day to be here. We want to put you a step further. We want you to be activists, not armchair politicians, but actually out there making a difference. Because as you know, this state is becoming a purple/blue state. The next senatorial election is going to be pretty big, and I am biased in my support with Daniel McCarthy. But we want you to be out there. Okay, the times of you guys sitting back and observing others is over. You're now the leaders of this. So let's get this going.
Yeah, and just one more thing that I'd like to add. I feel like I noticed even before I got associated with the Leadership Institute, there's a lot of infighting. So clubs and groups, they kind of get territorial. There's a little bit of drama. I'm not sure what it is, but there's definitely quite a bit of, like a lot of that. And I think that the Leadership Institute is trying to help with that, meaning we're all on the same side. We're all trying to accomplish similar goals. So let's unify and let's make it happen in a way that's a little bit more effective. So
thanks, man.
I appreciate it.
Perfect timing. All right, so next we have Cathrine Barrett. She's going to talk about her campaign about keeping bias and politics out of the classroom.
This is a perfect lead-in. So I am working with Representative Mark Fincham, and he couldn't be here, but he does give his deepest, sincerest thank you to all of you. He wants to try to make it out here at the end of October to try to talk to you guys. He was so thrilled that he was invited. Basically, we have a petition, and I'll pass it around so you guys can all see it. And you do have to be in Maricopa County, because this does go by counties. This is the one I grabbed right as I was leaving the classroom today. We have been hijacked in our high schools. I'm currently a high school teacher. I teach at Trevor Brown High School on the west side, which is LD 29, Senator Quinsadas district. If you guys can remember, back in the Red for Ed movement, it started out as a teacher pay raise, and then it merged quickly and hit us like a freight train into work for a petition called the Invest in Ed ballot. Teachers were not aware of this, and there was a segment on Garrett Lewis's on 7:60 a.m., which talks about the whistleblowing that happened in that movement. Representative Fincham at that time had House Bill 200 introduced. We had teachers calling on a rotation basis to get this House bill up. We were not successful. He met with a team of teachers. On that team of teachers, we began to draft this petition, because we know we need 260,000 signatures to make the ballot in 2020. I met college Republicans at the Trump and you guys were just hitting the ground running, and I said, we need to connect. If you guys can help us bring us across this finish line and clean up our schools, this would be major. What we have happening in our schools is basically the students are being used as political pawns. The leanings that are going on in lessons, parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles that are complaining to the governing boards and the districts do not get heard. We can't surface these. So I was excited when I heard your particular one talking about higher education, because we see it a lot as a classroom teacher. My personal experience even predate the Red for Ed movement. I have made reports that have gone unanswered with professional learning communities that involve people bragging about taking a voodoo doll of Donald Trump and poking pins in him. When I report these specific incidents, they just disappear. Nothing happens. I end up getting transferred to a new campus, and so forth. So other teachers are sitting there in silence and in isolation. I do meet with them when I can, and they give me information, and I give this to Mr. Fincham. Mr. Fincham will keep their identity confidential, and I have his email and his phone number so that you can call him, and if you know of any, we need those cases. I think on the next slide. So currently, there's Mr. Fincham. He had House Bill 2002. He is our advisor, and he helped us craft this petition. You'll see a lot of our hashtag #TeachMyKidAZ. What happened was, when we were going out with this petition, we also ran into an ESA, Empowerment Scholarship Account situation that's going on with this little boy, Emerson, who's 7 years old. So Mr. Fincham has a lot of plates going on. But part of this bullying that's happening in the classroom is we have one simple question on this petition. Is, do you want to end the political bullying in the classroom that's happening to our children? If you do, sign. And that's really the basis of it. We need to clean it up. And students that learn of their teacher's leaning tend to write a paper or an essay so that they can earn that grade, because they feel that they have to appease their teacher in that direction. In kindergarten class, we've even seen it, where they know Wednesday is a certain color day. So this is just hijacked our school boards, it's hijacked the classroom, and so we need to clean it up. And then lastly, we have a campaign going on Twitter, Classroom Ethics, and we have Facebook, Yes for Ethics. Tracy Ann is our administrator on the Facebook. She just recently moved to Arizona, and she works at a charter school, but she's helping us out. And then Rebecca Friedrichs is the author of Standing Up to Goliath. She's helping us out. She came out with the Goldwater Institute and really talks about how this infiltrated our system in the public school system. So any help you want to give us, we'll greatly appreciate. We don't even ask for money donations. Graphic art, paper, just hitting the ground running with a petition. I carry one in my purse. when you go to a restaurant. We have to get this on the ballot for the voters. And we have the Code of Ethics petition. If you click there, we have a web page built up. It's still kind of in, oh yeah, you can go ahead and open it. It's still under construction, but it's what we have, because teachers, like I said, we're working from 7:30 to 3:30, and then usually I'm meeting up over there at Maryville Golf Course or Grand Canyon handing out petition kits. So if you can hand out a petition kit, we'd love that. All you have to do on that black bar is click connect or contact us. Then it will go right into a queue. Tracy will get it, myself will get it, Mr. Fincham will get it. If you want to remain anonymous, you can just put in there and remain anonymous. This is some of the evidence that we've collected and we've been able to share with Kelly Townsend, we've been able to share with Vince Leach. We just need something done in our state of Arizona. Outstate agitators were imported here to start a movement that took off like a freight train, and quite frankly, teachers were used. So we've got to get this political ideology out so that we can raise the test scores too, because if you look at our national standings as teachers, we just want to teach. We don't want the political ideologies being pushed. And it's that simple. I think that's it, right? So if there's any questions, I'll take them.
Yeah, so one of the propositions was to keep all politics out, regardless of who's running for the past 4 years, past 10 years?
I think it's the last 50 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so how that language was written is it was crafted through attorneys that we had, and there was an intense study done, and we just want them to keep the historical context neutral free, so that when they're writing their political papers and, you know, doing the debating, we don't have kind of that partial view, so that that junior or senior who's impressionable, and I even saw it today, I was teaching freshmen, and they're so impressionable to their teachers. They want to please their teachers. They want to do the right thing. And teachers want to do the right thing. So we have to teach our curriculum narrowly and thoroughly, because if you look at those test scores, what's going on in our high school classrooms?
So at the Mary Lou Fulton, when they're teaching students to become teachers, they always say to try to relate it to current day issues or current relevant things, so that students are able to appreciate those things more often. So if you're limiting from the last 50 years and they have no concept of time really, most of these students are born after 9/11, how do you do that then without going too political?
Right, so in the Code of Ethics, what we're asking the State Board of Education to adopt is the progressive discipline, because there will be teacher training in this. When they come into the classroom, there's usually a begin program that you have to go through. So for instance, when I left working at Vanguard Mutual Fund industry and became a teacher, I had to go through an intensive 3-year district training. And those are those do's and do nots when you come in. So this Code of Ethics would really nip it in the bud that the districts have to start obeying by this Code of Ethics. They can't show their leanings. These taxpayers that are paying for my salary and other teachers' salaries, not only are they not seeing results right now in the state of Arizona, they're not paying for these teachers to go in and push their ideology beliefs. I had a kid recently come to me and say, Miss Cat, did you know that the United States, we spend more money on our military than we spend on education? And I just look at him, and then I can look at his schedule and see where he came from, and he came from his school counselor to see me to say this. And I say, Jose, we're talking today about literature analysis, okay? So teachers are in a baiting situation right now too, and we're walking this fine line, and with this Code of Ethics, this would clean it up. Jose would understand when he comes to English 9, he's here to learn his literary analysis. He's not there to bait me. He's not there to argue with me. I'm here to teach him a standard, and I teach that curriculum narrowly. Yes?
Rick kind of ruined my segue, because after you
That's
brought
okay.
up debates, he changed it, but I'm going to go back to it, Rick. So when you were talking about, how there's debates in the classroom, so this doesn't ban political talk at all, it's just not biased political talk? Because that's where I'm confused, because I'm sorry, but we live in the world of free speech.
Right.
No, whether you're a teacher or a student, you're allowed to state your opinion wherever you want. And as a passionate free speech advocate, this concerns me a little bit.
Sure, and rightfully so. And I think we spell it out in subsection B, where we say that they're allowed to debate, if you look at that. And but we just want to make sure that it's not, you're showing CNN, You're gonna tally how many times Donald Trump hates the United States of America. That's what we're really aiming for. And it is funny, but that's happening. We have kids in Mesa, this is happening too, and grandparents and aunts and uncles are hearing it, and they have nowhere to go. So when they go to the governing boards they're predominantly leaning left right now, to be honest. And we need you guys to run for governing boards and take them back. We just want to be able to go in and teach and raise the results, because the results are showing what's going on in those classrooms. And I would encourage everybody in here to sign up as a visitor and go visit a high school, or go visit an elementary school, walk through and hear what you hear in the hallways. It will amaze you.
Well, and just to add to that, because what she's saying is, I agree with what she's saying, but then I'm part of Purple for Parents and things like that nature, so I've been following that, and it's just the extremeness of it. It's not that you can't have a healthy debate or a healthy political discussion between students and a teacher kind of mediates or whatever. It's the blatant indoctrination, like you said, of the showing of their books, their TV shows, their beliefs, and then the kids feel like they have to believe that way or abide by that way in order to receive grades, or in order to feel like they're accepted in their environment. So it's just creating a more level playing field where everybody's views and free speech is considered.
Right, because if you look at the progressive discipline, like the first penalty we have is just a conference with the principal, the teacher, the district, and asking, what was the lesson you're teaching that day? Real clear and simple. Did you overstep a line, yes or no? It's not punitive in nature. The second one, okay, you know what? This is the second time we're having a conversation. We're gonna have you sit out and time out, teacher, for 30 days. And really think about and take a class on code of ethics. The third one, that's your third strike. You're going before the State Board of Education because we've tried to coach you, we gave you a class, and you obviously are not intentful on teaching for results and state standards. And I'll be quite frankly, if you just look at our percentage rate and then you look at our 20% raise, taxpayers, come on. Are we teaching the standards? What's going on in the classrooms?
Run for Ed was funded by the NBA, so.
It's funny you say that.
It's not
I'm going to go on a little bird walk on that one for you. If you listen to Garrett Lewis's podcast, I fell into the trap. We all knew each other back in August of 2017 before it happened. That is where I met Derek Harris. We were flown out to Chicago, and we were told we were going to be teacher leaders. And what teacher doesn't want to be a leader? No ideology was spoken at that time, but they did teach us to write a theory of change. And I thought he was not all there, let's just say. His theory of change was how to get rid of the Governor Ducey. My theory of change was how to use Twitter to influence raising money for technology in classrooms. Because I've been a strong advocate that we need technology in these classrooms. It's just evolved and changed. Somewhere along the line, those were merged, whether that was a think tank or something of some sorts. I'll never know, but then we met each other again in February of 2018, where I met Kelly Fisher and some other key players that happened, and I thought, this is strange. And we were shown video clips from Aaron Brockovich's movie, and we were put into teams in colors, and if you look at my Facebook, I still have those pictures on there. And I think it's important because it's the truth, it's transparency. Because at that time, we just thought we were gonna be leaders. We were teachers that, for one reason or another, kept getting passed up for higher promotions in admin. And then I even said to an NEA, National Education, this is strange. How do we all know each other? It was a magical group. And I'm just like, that's crazy. And then the first time I started Facebook was when Noah had talked to me and said, because we created the first flyer together. And he's like, this is gonna go national. And I'm like, how does he know this is gonna go national? So it was like the Celestine prophecy, I always say. Yeah. Yes.
I would like to say that I don't find this funny at all. This is so serious. I used to be a teacher. I'm coming from a socialist country, and I used to be a teacher here, and I used to work for the government in Europe, but I see this as a teacher abuse of children who are not being informed enough to make their own decision. So
Right.
okay, this is how I see it, is a teacher abuse of kids because they fail, they're disabled to understand why we elected Trump. Okay, so we have a Trump in the office and there is a reason for that, and he is there for a reason and for a good one. However, it's such a shocking situation for this country that many teachers are using that to filter this on kids. This is abuse. I want those teachers to be held accountable because it's not healthy to do those things in the classroom like that.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, and I've learned too in education, because I didn't have all the answers, the only people that can do the hiring and firing is the governing board. Now, your principal or your superior can write you up, they can coach you, they can put you on some type of leave, but it's your governing board that ultimately does the hiring and firing. And then they recommend that to the Arizona Board of Education. So it is a very complex system, and I urge you all to consider running for a school board, because that's where it starts, is at the school board level. And the more people we can put on the school board level that really hold us teachers accountable for our results, what we are doing in those classrooms or what we're not doing, will make us a better state, which will increase our property, value, because who wants to move here when you have schools in the state that they're in right now?
And just a quick
Yeah.
my girlfriend ran in the Gilbert for board school.
Yes.
They brought over $150,000 again, her money.
Yeah.
So she gave up.
Right.
And that's what the problem. The money will come in. There is a systematic attack on our state right now, and republic, of course. And if we don't hold those people accountable some way.
Yeah, and like Miranda said,
happen.
and Miranda's great on Twitter. If you are not following her, please follow her.
My Twitter was taken 2 years ago down. In 16 months, I tried to get it back. It was taken down again and again. So because I speak the truth, and they're oppressing us. So I wish I could follow her.
Yeah, it's a lot like Turning Points. We all have to organize locally. We've got to get on Twitter, and we've got to retweet each other. We have to like, retweet. Same on Facebook. The more you retweet and like, you guys are better at Facebook than I am. I'm more of a
You don't
tweeter.
retweet, you share.
Our generation.
Oh, you
share.
Yeah, I don't know much about
Facebook,
Facebook either.
I'm a pager girl, yeah. I'm turning my pager upside down to read my messages still. But yeah, the more you do that, because it's gonna have to be local community grassroots that's going to max out that spending. I mean, they're gonna come in, and we know if we make the ballot, and they're gonna take us to court. But we're prepared for that because we've got the local community, the base, and that's what we need. And then we can work through it from there. But we've got to get these schools teaching. That's what it all boils down to. They've got to be teaching. I don't know what's going on in there.
One more question.
So I was under the impression, not that it actually works that way in practice, that legally speaking, the teachers were not allowed to push a particular political point of view. The students could, but the teachers in public education, I thought legally weren't allowed to.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. So teachers are regulated by Title 15 of the Arizona Revised State Statute. There's nothing to this date about a code of ethics. Now, the National Education Association has adopted a code of ethics, but nothing in our Title 15 addresses that political advocacy happening in the classroom. And by this petition that's being passed around tonight, this would allow them to write a law. And then we need a law. I mean, if you look at every profession, like a real estate agent, a CPA, they all have a code of ethics. Teachers, we've just been floating in Arizona. Yeah.
Well, I think it's really hard too, because it's like, as a teacher, not only do you want to educate them, but you want them to be active in their community with whatever it is, whether they're passionate about a right or a leftist cause. And so when you're, in the classroom, you don't want to discourage that.
Right. And we're
it's like that rock and a hard place. It's like, okay, I can't.
That's what we say.
I can't go, I can't go out there, but it's like, how do I not do that and support them at the same time?
Right, that's what we say. We say do it narrowly. You know what I mean? Think before they say it. And it's just you know, teach that curriculum narrowly. You know, teachers are given scope, sequence, pacing guides, curriculum guides. That's all you gotta do. Stick to that, grade the homework, blind double score if you're an English teacher, you know. It's real simple. You don't go in to promote that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys.
I don't know where her petition went.
Okay, it's okay.
Crowd,
It's
but
over
It's
there.
right here, sorry.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
keep
all right.
moving.
If we
Thank
run
you.
out of time for the petition, we have more over
Oh,
here,
good.
so don't get discouraged. Next we have Robert Messenger from the NRA.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me here. I'm going to be upfront with you. I got about a 20-minute presentation. I'm chopping down to 7 minutes on the fly. So if I get a little disjointed at the end, please ask me questions. I won't be able to cover all the problems with the red flag law. If you could flip to the next one. Probably heard about red flag laws in the news. There's about 17 states that have them right now. And there's a big push to get them throughout all the states. So the sales pitch for a red flag law is you get a court order, take guns from someone who's a danger to themselves or others. That sounds reasonable, except they don't get a say in it. There's no due process. So let's say it happened to you. Let's say a political adversary said, I don't like that guy. I'm going to go to a judge. Because in most of the states, anyone could go file it. Fill out a piece of paper, hand it to the judge, swear he's a problem. Judge signs the order, goes to the cops, police show up at his house, probably 3 in the morning, to take his guns. And it doesn't matter if he doesn't even own a gun. So there's some big holes there. So, like I said, anyone can fill out that petition in those states. What's happened, you are concerned about free speech issues. There's a young man, 22 years old in Connecticut, who just got taken in on a red flag law because he posted threatening memes on social media. I don't even know what a threatening meme is, but they went to his house and did that. It got even worse though because he lived with his dad. His dad owned firearms and they confiscated those firearms. And I'm not sure, but I don't think Connecticut has a way to recover your firearms from the police once they've been confiscated. Most states, once police confiscate guns, they sell them or crush them. So there's a few problems there. We'll get into the biggest one though is once you've gone through this order and you're named armed and dangerous by a judge, it's called an extreme risk. So you're at an extreme risk. They're going to send a SWAT team probably. And if you've ever followed what happens with SWAT raids, if somebody doesn't move the right way at the right time at 4 in the morning, people get shot. So this has happened in Massachusetts. There was a guy who was reported by his family for being paranoid. He had the paranoid delusion that the police were going to confiscate his guns. So the police came to confiscate his guns, brought in the SWAT team, shot him to death. There's another guy in Maryland just this year, that the same thing happened. In Florida, the police got the wrong house, confiscated the man's firearms. Under their law, there's no way to recover them, so he has to go to court and get a court order to order the police to give him back his property. So those are just a few of the issues right there. So you can see how that's going to work with revenge and harassment. You don't have the right political beliefs, so someone goes after you. I can tell you from my own experience, anti-gun activists swear that if they see me wearing a gun and a holster, they're going to call police and report it as an active shooter. These people are out there, they will use these laws for this. So another important point on this, if you've got somebody who's mentally disturbed and it's a legitimate order, you need to get guns away from them, you need to get them into treatment too. Because it really isn't good enough to just take away their guns and then let them sit next to you in this room. If they're extremely dangerous and a danger to others, they're gonna find a way to act out if you don't help them. So, NRA doesn't support any of those red flag orders with a small asterisk. One time they have supported a bill, it was here in Arizona. Last year, Governor Ducey worked with NRA, excuse me, voice is cracking, with NRA and the Arizona Citizens Defense League and crafted a bill that had due process all the way through it. If you were gonna have your guns confiscated, you were gonna get your day in court, you were gonna face your accuser, you were gonna be able to say, no, I didn't send those messages, I didn't say that, have character witnesses. If it was deemed that they needed to move forward, then you would go get a mental evaluation. And you would have another hearing, and there were a lot of hurdles to overcome. That passed the Senate, failed in the House. It may be back, it may not. Are there any questions on that topic really quick? Because I blasted through some things. No? Next slide, please. Okay, so I've been asked to speak to you about Mark Kelly. NRA is a single issue organization. It's gun rights, so we're only going to talk about the gun issue. His wife, former Arizona Representative Gabby Giffords, was shot and severely injured in Tucson in 2011, along with 19 other people. It was a mentally disturbed individual, and he had lots of run-ins with authorities. And I'm gonna have to tie it back to the previous part. We have involuntary commitment laws in the state. Every state in the union has them. They can be used to deal with these people and get them into treatment. Authorities knew about him, did not use it, so he shot 20 people that day. So Mark Kelly is a former astronaut. He wants to be your senator. He's very, very anti-gun now, except for his guns. He's a guns for me, but not for the gun. So his positions are, you shouldn't have a magazine that has more than 10 rounds in it, even though that Glock that he owns holds 17. He also has been very skilled at creating political action committees and advocacy groups. I tried to untie where his money went, and it was really hard to follow all these groups. I think the Gabby PAC is no longer active. And as of today, the Mark Kelly Victory Fund had about $17,000 in it. So he will get a lot of backing. Some of those, like Americans for Responsible Guns, Responsible Solutions, and the Rights and Responsibilities PAC have donated heavily to the Democrat Party here in Arizona. I imagine they'll be funding his election. But there's the list for you if you want to follow along on that. See where it goes. Go to the next slide. This is also Mark Kelly in Diamondback Shooting Sports down in Tucson.
Wow.
So the day before, he had testified in Colorado in support of gun control. He went in there to buy a SIG AR-15. This was, well, Obama was championing gun control and banning ARs. And so it was hard for them to get, so they bought a used one. They have to hold on to it due to a Tucson ordinance for pawn shops for 30 days to make sure it's not stolen. So he paid for the gun. The picture came out, Breitbart was asking about this, and all of a sudden he went out on Facebook and said, I went in to buy a gun to show how easy it was to buy an AR-15. He was in the waiting period that he wants. And there was another problem. When you go to buy a gun from a dealer, you fill out a form 4473. It's got check boxes. Have you been convicted of a felony? Are you a citizen? And one of those boxes is, are you buying this gun for yourself? And if you check no, they cancel the sale.
Right.
So in his excuse, he said, I wasn't buying it for me. I was just buying it to prove this. So Diamondback doesn't want to facilitate a felony, so they canceled the sale. So that's why you never saw Mark Kelly's story of how easy it was to buy a firearm. Wow. I'll just say that he makes mistakes like that a lot, so keep an eye on that, because that'll be helpful. And that's all I got. If there's any questions? Yes, sir.
So is the NRA going to be campaigning in Arizona?
Mm-hmm.
They are. Good.
Yeah, they know it's going to be a rough year.
Good.
Okay.
Have they endorsed anyone, or are they going to stay out of it until the primary's done?
Well, they'll start releasing candidate grades probably a month or so before the primary. I've really pushed to get them to move that up. They've acknowledged it was too late last time.
Right.
But actually endorsing will probably come after the primaries.
Okay.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask if you guys were endorsing Martha McSally. So.
We have to see because,
Yeah.
you know, there's a push in Congress for.
So kind of segueing off that, if someone has a grade because they've been in Congress, they have a voting record, and then a challenger who's never been in Congress doesn't have anything on his record, would they default to the person with a C rather than the person who doesn't have a grade?
No, depending on how they answer their questionnaire and what their history is.
Okay.
If they're stellar, they might get an A+. based on the questionnaire.
Questionnaire, excellent.
There's an incumbent-friendly policy that if you've got an incumbent who's good on guns and it's an A rating, maybe even a B rating, we know what they're gonna do. They might get an endorsement, but you get the A+ for the other candidate.
Okay.
For me, seeing guns when I moved to this country was a shock, because in Europe, nobody has guns except police. Or in China, when people, they can be killed by the government anytime somebody said something wrong. I witnessed those things. So, but now I understand why it's important. My question is it a current law out there? If we would follow the current laws out there, would they prevent those, people who are questionable to actually not get the hands on the weapons? Because I know the criminals will always find the guns on the black market. It's so scary. Now I understand this. I mean, most Europeans, they have no clue, but I do understand, and I really worry about that.
NRA takes the position that if we enforce current laws, it would be much better, and that is true, because we have repeat offenders who are violent criminals who do no time. Some of these really terrible high-profile mass shootings where someone bought a gun and was a prohibited possessor, they bought it for him. That's a felony. Those people didn't spend any time in jail for it.
Wow.
They were convicted, and that was it. So, yeah, if we were keeping more of these dangerous people off the streets, it would help. If we were utilizing the involuntary commitment laws to get the Tucson shooter, the Aurora, Colorado shooter, the Parkland shooter, all of these people who had lots of interactions with law enforcement, some of them had orders of protection against them. Had somebody used that system, that shooting probably wouldn't have happened. None of those three. And that applies to a lot of them.
So what do you think we could be done instead of this red flag, because this is so dangerous, many people are concerned?
Well, if we enforce the current ones, got serious about sentencing, because if you look at Chicago's crime problem,
Yeah.
they have a lot of shootings. It's just a revolving door for the criminals. So there should be some reform there. As far as what should be done for mental health, yeah, we should get these people help. We've got to use the system. People say it's broken, and if they won't use the system, it is broken.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask something about the questionnaire. If you guys know anyone that's running for office, as you mentioned, the endorsements that NRA gives are based on the questionnaires they fill out. And it's actually sadly surprising to see how many candidates don't fill that out. If a candidate doesn't fill out that form, they end up getting a question mark or a Q after their name. So that can lead to more questions about their positions on the Second Amendment than answers. And just to say, Robert and I have been doing this for about 9 years now. And people, when election season rolls around, we get calls and calls and calls every day from people asking us who they should vote for, which we can't tell them straight out. But they look at those questionnaires. There's a very large amount of people that see them. So if you're helping someone run for office, encourage them to fill that form out, get it back.
Where would you get that form? Where would you get that form?
You would get it from my grassroots coordinator, or you can contact me and I can put them in
Is it
touch.
specifically then to that candidate, or can you get it and give it to them? Or what's the?
It's specifically to the candidate. Most anyone who's already elected should know the NRA lobbyist. She's the one who actually sends out the questionnaire and does the grading. So for any new candidates you know, put them in touch with me or Amanda Sanders at headquarters.
Online that, we can alert the candidates to possibly do that? Okay. All right.
They're pretty secretive with the questionnaires, and I don't know.
No, I know, I'm just saying so that they know that they need to fill it out, or they should.
I wish, because I did get contacted by so many candidates last year. Like, hey, can I do this? And the way NRA handles the political side to comply with federal election law, in the role I was in, I wasn't even allowed to talk to candidates at that point. So it was just, here, go talk to Keeley, I can't answer any questions. So. And to Jackie's point, most of the Anakin Democrats who run in this state will not return that questionnaire. So if you've got a Republican candidate you want elected, make sure they get that questionnaire back, otherwise they look just like those people do. Anything else?
And do you have cards or anything that we could give?
I do not have a card.
But how would I get my candidates?
We'll give you a contact.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Good. One other point, I did put the bullet point list in the speaker's notes in this presentation, that they can print out and share with you or get access somehow to what NRA would consider supporting in a red flag law. And there's a long list. It's also kind of a list of what's wrong with the current ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, we could put that in the future emails if you want, or newsletters, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's right.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you
you.
very much.
That was really good.
Before we end the meeting, I just want to say thank you everyone for coming, and especially thank you to our non-college friends that came. You guys, without you guys, I don't think we would be a club, because we get so much help from you guys. You come to our meetings, you donate a lot of money, and obviously ASU doesn't help us that much, so thank you guys, thank you.
We
I
do-
think it's gonna be a while before that happens.
I wouldn't count on it ever.
I think I have it.
We have a tradition, usually at the end of the meetings, we do like a group photo where everyone goes to the front,